All right, today we are diving into a really fascinating and honestly pretty radical idea from a specific theological text. What if there was a second chance, not just for some, but for everyone who has ever lived? It's a concept that's going to challenge a lot of what you might believe, so let's just jump right in. So let's start with the huge question at the heart of all this. Just for a second, put aside everything you've ever been taught, and just think about this. What if the grand plan wasn't about saving a select few, but about giving every single person who has ever drawn breath another shot at life? Okay, so the big word for this whole concept is restitution. According to the source we're looking at, this isn't just about, wiping the slate clean. We're talking about a full-on, complete restoration of the entire human race, bringing everyone back to the perfect state that was supposedly lost in Eden. It's a universal solution for what it sees as a universal problem. Right, so you're probably thinking, how on earth could something that massive even be possible? Well, the source material lays it out almost like a legal argument. It all hinges on paying a very, very specific price. So, to get the solution, you've got to understand the problem first, right? The whole foundation of this idea is that one single act of disobedience by one perfect man, Adam, had these massive universal consequences. It put a death sentence on him, and by extension, on every single one of his children. Yep, the entire human race. And this is where the central engine of the doctrine kicks in, the ransom. The source calls this a corresponding price. The logic here is all about balance. It's like a cosmic scale. A perfect man's mistake tipped the scales towards death for everyone. So, to balance it, you needed the willing sacrifice of another perfect man to pay the price and buy everyone back. And this is where you can really see that idea of perfect balance in action. It's so symmetrical, isn't it? On one side of the ledger, you have one man's disobedience, which leads to judgment for all. And on the other side, you have one man's obedience, which provides this free gift, this opportunity for life for all. It's presented as a perfectly balanced equation. And this is the verse that the whole argument really hangs on. The interpretation from this source is absolutely key. The thinking goes, if the many who were made sinners means everybody because of Adam, then the many who get a shot at being made righteous has to mean everybody too. It has to be the exact same group. Okay, now this is a super important point, so listen up. The ransom doesn't just hand everyone a free pass to eternal life. That's not what's being argued here. What it buys, what it guarantees, is a chance. A full, fair, individual trial for that life. It gets your case reopened, so to speak, but the final verdict? That's still up to you. All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty practical stuff. I mean, you resurrect billions of people. Where in the world do you put them all? It sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, the source actually saw this question coming, and its answer is, well, it's surprisingly mathematical. Seriously, think about it. The scale is just mind-boggling. How could our planet physically handle that many people living all at once? Let's see how the text crunches the numbers. So first, the source tries to get its arms around just how many people we're talking about. It makes a deliberately over-the-top, generous estimate for every human who's ever lived over the last 6,000 years. And the massive number they land on is 252 billion. And the answer to this massive number, get this, the state of Texas. Yeah, I know, it sounds like a joke, but just follow the math they lay out. So, according to their calculations, if you turned the entire state of Texas into one giant cemetery, you could fit over 660 billion bodies. That's almost 3 times what they estimated they'd need. So, space problem? According to this text, objection overruled. Okay, so the space issue is one thing. But what about a much bigger, more philosophical problem? How does this idea of restitution, of going back to a past perfection, fit with the modern theory of evolution, which says we're always moving forward, always improving? And this slide lays out the conflict perfectly. You've got two completely opposite ideas. The theory of evolution suggests we started low and are on this upward climb. This doctrine of restitution argues the exact opposite. Humanity started perfect, at the top, fell down, and needs to be restored back to that original higher state. So, to push back on the idea that we're just getting smarter and smarter, the source brings up some fascinating evidence of what it calls ancient genius. It points to things like the insane mathematical precision of the Great Pyramid, or lost arts like tempering copper, as proof that people in the past had just as much, if not more, brainpower as we do today. So the big question is, if ancient people were so smart, why do we have smartphones and they didn't? The source has a theory. It's not about our brains getting an upgrade. It's that we have better circumstances, things like the printing press, which let knowledge be shared and built upon, generation after generation. We are literally standing on the shoulders of giants. So if the argument is that we've always had this amazing potential, we just needed the right conditions, what does that ultimate test, that second chance, actually look like? Now that we've tackled those big objections, the source gets into the nature of the trial itself. Well, it's broken down into these 4 key steps. First, everyone is freed from that original condemnation passed down from Adam. Second, they each get a brand new individual trial, but this time under totally favorable conditions, not the mess we have now. Third, they'll have full knowledge and experience of both good and evil. And finally, the judgment is based entirely on their own willful choices. And make no mistake, the stakes in this trial are as high as they get. There are 2 possible and permanent outcomes. For those who willingly choose to be obedient, the reward is everlasting life. But for those who willingly choose disobedience, the penalty is called the second death. And they're really clear about this. It's a total extinction of being. There's no third chance, no other ransom. It's fine. And this final quote really wraps up the whole philosophy behind this doctrine. The focus is all on ultimate fairness. The idea is that once this is all said and done, every single person will have had their absolute best shot under the best possible conditions. The outcome, whatever it is presented as perfectly just. So that's where it leaves us, with this idea of a guaranteed trial, but not a guaranteed outcome. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does universal justice truly look like? Is it giving everyone the same fair shot, even if the outcomes are different? It's definitely something to chew on.